NBA players are humans at the end of the day. Just like everyone else, they lie from time to time. But some have been caught up in their lies, even being caught lying to their fans. With Paul George growing up in California, he recently made many fans think he was on his way to the Lakers, but suddenly, he joined their rival instead. Back when Paul George was ending his 2-year stint with the Thunder, many believed he had every intention of joining up with the Lakers. These beliefs were not rumors, they didn't come out of thin air. They came right from Paul during a documentary about him. In the ESPN series, he said, "I grew up watching Kobe. When I first fell in love with the game and I'm outside playing in front of the house, I'm not picturing myself in an Indiana jersey or picturing myself in a Thunder jersey. I picture myself in a Laker jersey. Everyone in the league would say they would love to go back home and play for their city. There's just something about representing home." To top it off, he mentioned this right before the episode's intro, as if to imply that this trade was in the works. And as we come to find out later on, Paul ended up signing a 3-year contract, but he'd be owed around $103 million over that time. And by the time the contract had been announced, NBA fans were in shock to hear the news. However, the surprise soon turned into resentment. After Paul had announced in a press conference, "For me, I grew up a Clippers fan. I loved the Clippers as a kid." His words are almost identical to the same ones he said about the Lakers about a year prior, only switched up to the Clippers. As it turns out, the Clippers during the summer of 2019 were looking to acquire Kawhi Leonard during free agency, after finishing a championship season with the Raptors. While the Clippers had the resources to afford him, what they didn't have were the kind of resources Kawhi wanted. Kawhi would agree to a Clippers trade only if they were able to get another superstar like Paul George in the mix. If Paul signed a contract, then Kawhi would too. The Clippers knew their worst nightmare would become a reality if either of the two moved to their rival Lakers team, and so their attention now focused on Paul, and so did Kawhi's. Kawhi had spoken to Paul and convinced him to request a trade to the Clippers. After Kawhi signed his contract, the blockbuster trade between the Thunder and the Clippers was announced. In exchange for Paul, the Clippers gave us Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, and the Clippers' first-round picks in 2022, 2024, and 2026. 2 first-round choices via Miami in 2021 and 2023, and the right to swap first-round picks in 2023 and 2025. Following the trade, Clippers president Lawrence Frank announced the excitement for Paul's arrival, saying, "Paul George is one of the greatest two-way players in our game. He's both an elite scorer and a relentless defender, whose versatility elevates any team. When you have the opportunity to acquire a contributor of his caliber, you do what it takes to bring him home. Paul is a native of the Los Angeles area, and is an ideal fit for the Clippers, thanks to his selflessness and drive. Following the lead of Steve Ballmer, we plotted an aggressive course to build a championship contender, and acquiring Paul is a critical step. It was a hefty price to pay in team assets. However, the Clippers now have a team that can compete against the Lakers. They did it by restricting the Lakers' ability to get a big 3 going with either Kawhi or Paul. And as for Paul, while he technically did sign with his hometown team, it's not the one that he had said at first, and Lakers fans were definitely upset about it. With Russell Westbrook being one of the most dominant players ever, averaging a triple-double in 3 straight seasons, he claimed his game isn't all about his stats, but the way he plays shows otherwise. As the league's triple-double king, allegations have arisen over the years claiming he's a stat padder, or in other words, a player that only cares about his own personal stats over his team's win. And while he's dismissed these allegations, usually as quick as they start, just a few years ago in a matchup against the Suns, it became pretty obvious that Westbrook was looking to break a season's record for the most triple-doubles. Late in the 2016-2017 season, it was announced that Westbrook was only 1 triple-double away from beating a 55-year-old NBA record that was previously held by Oscar Robertson. During the 4th quarter, when Westbrook was just 2 assists shy, he could be seen on multiple occasions passing away wide-open shots to his teammates as they desperately try to score but fail. The Suns reach a point where they're leading significantly, and according to Suns forward Jared Dudley, they did everything they could to keep him from getting that triple-double when he said, "4th quarter, we had such a big lead. The only thing he needed was assists, so the whole game plan changed. He was still in the game down 20-25. You can see he's being real passive. So we just stayed home. And if he's going to do a drop-off, we're going to foul and make him earn it. If he was going to earn it, it was going to be somewhere else. I hope he gets it, just not here, not versus us. We dealt with enough problems this year. So to have another history against us and have to watch it 20 years from now, I'm glad it's not us." The Suns managed to hold Westbrook from getting his 42nd triple-double that season, all while leading a blowout game against the Thunder. In the post-game interview, Westbrook was confronted about what the whole Suns team was aware of, and he responded defensively, stating, "I was 6 for 25. What do you want me to do? I wasn't making the shots, so somebody else can help. My job is to see what's going on and try to find guys who can make some shots. Maybe we can get something going. But it wasn't falling for me tonight. I wasn't playing for records since I've been in the league. This is my 9th year. I play the same way every single night, record or no record. I compete at a high level. That's what I do." At the end of the day, Westbrook fell shy of the record, took a game lost, and had 8 turnovers that game. With Kevin Durant towering over power forwards and matching up quite nicely with centers, it seems odd that, according to his former teams, Durant's only 6'9". Throughout the years that Kevin Durant's been in the league, he's been constantly asked questions regarding his height, and NBA journalists have failed to get a consistent answer out of him. Generally, he's reported to be anywhere from 6'9" to 6'11". The issue with both of these heights is standing next to centers like DeMarcus Cousins or DeAndre Jordan looks to be taller than them, and they're both listed as 6'11" centers. And he's not the only one. In fact, lying about your height is just part of the sport. So many others have clearly lied about their height. Kevin Love being another notable one. Love is listed as 6'10", yet standing next to LeBron James looks to be about the same height, if not a bit shorter. And because of this, some believe that it's not Durant that's lying about his height, but it's everybody else lying about theirs. While this seems to be a convincing argument, Durant himself eventually fussed up to his height on a radio show, saying, Since I love you guys so much, I was recorded at 6'10" and 3/4 with no shoes on. So with shoes on, I'm 7 feet. I was like messing with people. They ask me so much. Yeah, I'm just messing with people. For me, when I'm talking to women, I'm 7 feet. In basketball circles, I'm 6'9". Suddenly, Durant's 7'5" wingspan starts to make a lot more sense. And he later admit the reason that he lists himself smaller as well. He said, "I've always thought it was cool to say I'm a 6'9" small forward. Really? What's the prototypical size for a small forward? Anything taller than that, and they'll start saying, he's a power forward." With Blake Griffin making everyone believe that he wanted to be a Clipper for life, everyone was fooled when he was traded away from Los Angeles. During a free agency meeting that was held at Staples Center, Blake had told his coach and the owner, "I want my legacy to be a Clipper." Blake wasn't lying. He had every intention of staying with the organization, even going as far as signing a 5-year, $171 million contract. The pitch meeting he had gone to was a spectacle, and they had an art gallery that showcased photos of Blake when he was a kid with his brother, Blake when he was in college, and Blake as a Clipper. Blake went through the art gallery in amazement with his 3-year-old son. It's no wonder Blake said he'd stay for life. Any NBA player can only dream of being treated so well by an organization. Right after he had signed his contract in a press conference meeting, Clipper admin who sat next to Blake stated, "I think Steve and Doc were very transparent right from the beginning of the free agent process. The process doesn't start during the actual presentation. It goes all the way back years ago, and that keeping Blake a Clipper forever." For Blake, if you think about the history of the game, there's very few franchise players that start and finish their career at the same team. The Duncans, the Birds, Stocktons, Russells, this is Blake's ability to do so. From a contractual standpoint, that's what we fully intend to do. A few months later, Blake will be finding out on Twitter that he'd been traded away to the Pistons in exchange for Tobias Harris, Avery Bradley, Boban Marjanovic, and a second-round draft pick. The Clippers' classless move became very clear. They only wanted Blake to sign a contract with them so they could deal him away right after for team assets. Blake has spent 8 years with the organization, through thick and thin, and now he's being informed over the internet that he'd be traded. The ceremony with the art gallery was all just to get Blake to sign the contract. In an interview following the trade, Blake talked openly about the trade, stating, "You know what? Basketball's a business. The NBA is a business. They made the decision. The only thing is that I wish I'd known or had the opportunity to talk to someone beforehand. You know, finding out through Twitter or through other people is a tough way to find out when you've been with the franchise for so long. At the end of the day, basketball is a business. I want to play on a team that wants me." Now, Blake's agent could have fought for a no-trade clause to be included in his contract, but after the treatment he received from the Clippers prior to the signing, he felt there was no need. Not many people know that Kawhi Leonard won a Finals MVP and won a ring with the Spurs long before he was a household name in the NBA, and he got many fans to believe that he was going to be a Spur for life. In 2017, when Kawhi was asked if he wanted to remain a Spur for life, Kawhi responded simply by stating, "For sure." Now, Kawhi had been benched for the better part of the entire 2017-2018 season with the Spurs due to a quadricep injury. Despite the injury, Kawhi seemed to be confident in his ability to return and continue producing for the Spurs. He was saying, "I don't have a set date right now. I just got to keep doing what I'm doing. The progression that I'm making has been great." Of course, we'd all find out all along that was a lie. After months-long struggle, Kawhi convinced the Spurs to trade him, along with Danny Green, to the Raptors. The issues regarding Kawhi and the Spurs have been ongoing for some time. Kawhi's injury had given him an excuse to separate himself from the team entirely. Ginobili saw the writing on the walls early on, and he said, "He's not coming back." For me, he's not coming back because it's not helping to think Leonard's returning. We fell for it a week ago again. I guess you guys made us fall for it. We have to think that he's not coming back. That we are who we are. Now we gotta go fight without him. That shouldn't be changing, at least until he's ready for the jump ball. Reading between the lines would tell you the rumored Spur versus Kawhi beef was very real and present, and his injury was only making the situation worse. Kawhi had even opted to not seek rehab with the Spurs by instead electing to treat his injury on his own, a move that kept the Spurs from knowing the progress Kawhi was making, if any. Kawhi was a great team player when he was playing, but when he wasn't playing, he seemed distant. A move that finally got an explanation on June 15th, 2018, when it became official that Kawhi requested the Spurs to trade him off. Spurs fans were understandably heated. After being traded over to the Raptors, the team faced off at Texas, and after the Raptors took the loss, Kawhi was booed off the court. Spurs fans, however, were finally given some closure by Kawhi's uncle, who explained the rift saying, "I think it just became a lack of trust. They didn't believe Kawhi couldn't play, and that caused a lack of trust in us, and then us not believing in them. Anytime a player says he's not capable of playing, you should believe him. Why would Kawhi just stop playing all of a sudden? He's a competitor. Sometimes you get these team doctors telling you what you can and cannot do. Kawhi was just in too much pain to get out there. This was a serious issue. They didn't believe him, and after that, the relationship couldn't recover. We decided to move on." With Kyrie Irving expected to lead the Celtics to greatness, he folded under the pressure, claimed he loved Boston and wanted to stay, only to sign with the Nets. When Kyrie had announced he'd be staying in Boston for years to come, he'd fooled not only fans, but the team's management. Probably the greatest part of his lie was that he opted to do so in front of thousands of fans in TD Garden. Sitting down in the chair next to Gordon Hayward, Al Horford, and an interviewer in the middle of the stadium, Kyrie was asked, "How important is it to see number 11 up there one day?" And Kyrie, digging his own grave, responded, "It's quite important. I shared it with some of my teammates as well as the organization and everyone else in Boston. You guys will have me back. I plan on re-signing here next year." The crowd went wild. Practically endless standing ovation began, and the interview ends with Kyrie going back to the bench and giving a hug to his Boston buddies. Danny Ainge would later admit that the announcement wasn't surprising, stating, "The fact that he wanted to announce that and get it out there was not surprising to us. We felt like we were going to move forward with Kyrie for years to come. We talked about it a little bit, but I guess that was just when he was ready to tell everyone he wanted to stay." Just a year later, Kyrie's trade rumors became a reality when it became public that Kyrie would be signing a 4-year contract worth $141 million with the Brooklyn Nets. He'd be joining DeAndre Jordan and Kevin Durant on an experiment project the Nets have been working on for years to get their big three. Forgetting his commitment to Boston, Kyrie talked about the trade saying, "In my heart, I always knew I wanted to play at home. I wouldn't change anything about this journey. It's brought me back here, and that's home. And home is where my family is. Home is where I want my legacy to continue. I'm happy to be in Brooklyn." Boston fans were given hope, and now it's gone. Apparently, as the 2018-2019 season progressed, it became clear that Kyrie was going to leave after his grandfather passed away at the start of the season. Kyrie opened up on the decision during the preseason on the Nets, saying, "After he passed, basketball was the last thing on my mind. There was a facial expression that I carried around with me throughout the year. I didn't allow anyone to get close to me in that instance. It really bothered me. I didn't take the steps necessary to get counseling or to get therapy or anything to deal with someone close to me dying. I've never dealt with anything like that. So throughout the year, it became clear that my relationship with my home life has a way higher precedence than the organization or anyone. Having grown up in the New Jersey suburbs, just right outside of New York City, the move would make it easier for him to be closer with his family." Hey, yo, dog. I'm gonna need you to click on this video right now, where things are probably gonna get pretty bad for you, okay? Alright, don't even need to know specifics or details. Just know that if you don't click on this video, you're gonna have a bad time. So what are you doing, bro? Just click on it.